my next guest is a three-time finalist for the Pulitzer Prize and columnist with a point of view all her own. Her latest collection is called Nothing But Good Times Ahead. It's a pleasure to have Molly Ivins on the program. My audience greets everyone personally. It's very refreshing. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
I'm trying to bring back the St. Bernard look.
No, but you've got this book out now. It's a collection of your columns.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This is your second book.
That's right.
All right.
I'm an author now.
And you and what I was going to ask you is you do a lot of in your column you do a lot of topical stuff. That's mostly what you do, actually, is you comment on what's going on. Right. For example, in the monologue tonight, I was talking about Janet Reno, and
one of my
talking
heroes.
about.
Yeah, she's my new fashion goddess. But I think.
Have you written a column about? Oh, you haven't had time. This just happened today.
I think maybe she hasn't thought through this whole thing about blaming the media for violence. You know, there's sort of a new fad now that teenagers lie down in the middle of the highway because it's a manly thing to do.
Right.
And there's great protest, and they're making them change the movie that inspired this.
They're actually deleting that part of the movie.
Yeah. I think we may want to rethink this. It could be a kind of natural selection at work, a kind of evolutionary attempt to improve the IQ of the human race.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you have a 3-year-old, you expect to say, now, honey, don't play in the road. If you have a 17-year-old who needs that kind of advice, that kid could turn out to be more trouble than he's worth.
It's, well, how do you think, for example, how do you think President Clinton's doing so far?
Well, he's sort of like watching Billy Kilmer play football. The first thing he does on every play is drop back 20 yards, and then they push him back another 20, and you know he's going to get nailed back there, and you don't even want to watch him. He gets the pass off, but it's a terrible pass. And it wobbles, and it flutters, and everybody goes up at once, and you know it's going to be intercepted, then they all fall down. And at the end of it, he's actually moved the ball 3 or 4 yards. I mean, it's not pretty to watch, but he's moving the ball.
Yeah, that's nice. No, it's not the most elegant, not the most elegant procedure. I was flipping through your book today, and actually I noticed that you've written a great deal about Ross Perot.
H. Ross Perot, one of my personal favorite too.
I'm sorry, H. Ross Perot. Well, I've noticed that I must get that right. There's so much. I noticed that I had heard that someone had mentioned to me that you really like Perot.
Well, we were friends until I called him a liar in print.
Well,
it's sort of fallen off since then.
That can happen. Every time you call one of your friends a liar in print.
I know. It just turns it right off. We did used to have a lot of fun together. He is a very funny man.
Well, what I thought was interesting, I read through some of these, and I thought you really seem to have an affection for him. I mean, you seem to think that he's, first of all, done a lot of good. You say that in one of your columns, that he's done an incredible amount of good in Texas. Right. And yet at the same time, you think he has these fundamental flaws that don't make him eligible.
Yeah, I don't think he should be president. He is slightly paranoid, which is like being slightly pregnant. Tends to get worse. I think he's sort of become the San Diego chicken of American politics. Cavorting up and down on the sidelines while the team slug it out.
Now, do you think he'll be back? I mean, he just seems like this figure that's just not going to go away.
Oh, I always feel like such a fraud when I try to say what's going to happen in the future because I think nobody really knows. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if he went after the Republican nomination.
He seems to enjoy it too much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we can only hope. Because it must be fun to write about.
Of course. I mean, think how dull last year's race would have been if it hadn't been for H. Ross.
It's good for this industry, this whole comedic industry. This is your second book, the second time that you've written one of these. Is this fun to do? And this is a change. It's not like writing a column. You're not just writing your column, submitting it, and it's in your newspaper. Now you've actually got to go out and promote the book. You've got to come on shows like this. You've got to. Is it?
It's confusing. Is what it is. Last year when I was selling the paperback version of the first book and covering the presidential campaign, because I have to keep my day job. I had always dreamed that when I became an author, as we used to say in East Texas, as we still say in East Texas, that I would get to hang out at places like the Algonquin Hotel with a lot of terribly witty people trading bone motes. But what happens is more like, you know, there you are trying to cover a presidential campaign, and suddenly you have to fly to New York City to appear at a literary tea, which was a life-changing moment for me. I reported for duty at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, and there was 350 blue-haired ladies having tea. And I met my fellow authors. We were a panel. Elmore Leonard, who writes the good murder mysteries. Professor Henry Gates of Harvard University, he's a scholar. Myself on politics. And Ivana Trump. And a chance to trade bone motes with Ivana had not previously entered my imagination, but I certainly took advantage of it. It's difficult for me to do her accent because I'm from Texas, but she was telling the blue-haired ladies that in addition to the literary work, she loves the literary work. Her life is very busy. She has the children. She has the charities. Also, she's bringing out a new line of toiletries. With that, I leaned over to Dutch Leonard and said, damn, Dutch, let's can the writing gig. It's hard work. It doesn't pay that much. We'll both go into toiletries. You bring out Ode to Detroit Funk. I'm bringing out Molly Ivins barbecue-flavored vaginal gel. We'll make a killing.
Oh, he doesn't like it. Well, thank you very much. We got to go away. We'll be right back.